Katt Williams right now had this interview, and it's blown up the internet right now. Blowing the internet up, 44 million views right now on this YouTube like sit down podcast. He said on ESPN correspondent Shannon Sharp's podcast, Club Shay Shay, and he just talked about the business, talking about talking about when he played Money Mike and Friday After Next, how there was like supposed to be a prison rape scene, and he said that wasn't funny, so told him to take it out. Later that was debunked. Well, it was said that it was, and Ice Cube said it didn't happen, but who knows? He also went down after all these comedians. It's a big thing. It's a big thing on the internet because he actually was exposing a lot of these comedians and saying the industry isn't what it used to be, that they're not actually working hard enough. They're not like him. They're not really giving it their all. And a lot of these people just got opportunities like Kevin Hart. Hit Kevin Hart hard. Pretty much said Kevin Hart was a Hollywood plant put into the business. Like he moved to LA, and all of a sudden he's like got a special. He's doing stand up everywhere. He came out of nowhere. He goes, but honestly, I has no memory of a sold out Kevin Hart show ever, or there ever being a line for him, everyone ever giving him a standing ovation. That's what he said at a comedy club. He said that all these details, all these like these shows. He said there's all these movies he did that were movies that he passed on, then Kevin Hart took and made money with, which that can happen to a lot of people. They're going to find somebody to take that role. But he pretty much called him a Hollywood plant and said that he was a poser, not a real comedian. Huge thing to attack him. He also attacked Cedric the Entertainer. He really got up in Cedric's ass. Like he went after Cedric, saying he called him a walrus for one thing. Called him a walrus. He goes, Cedric is sitting there telling you that he ain't a movie star because, well, he's not. He should be a movie star, but he's not a movie star. And he said he can't get his arms off around his stomach because he's so fat. He also said, why is he a movie star? He never wrote anything. Remember when Cedric the Entertainer, he said, starts, he's supposed to be singing, dancing, and telling jokes. That's why it's called the Entertainer. But we found out he can't sing, he can't dance, and doesn't write his own jokes. And so he just went hard at him. Cedric came back at him. He also said that Cedric stole one of his best jokes ever, and that was like launched his career. And Cedric said, one joke wouldn't make my career. I'm doing so much beyond that. And he kind of gave a little fire back. Wasn't much, but enough being like, hey man, you do you. I'm doing me. I'm doing great. It's not going to bother me. But he went after him. He went after Kanye West too. We'll talk about Kanye West being like, if we think this person actually has a medical condition, why we're not basing his life on a curve. And he, he only dated and married Kim Kardashian was because she was a prostitute. Or it's like what? And he just went after him too. But he also said like maybe he doesn't feel bad for me. He also said that he's getting a raw deal. So that's one thing. Went after Harvey Weinstein, and said that Harvey Weinstein actually came after him one time and told him that he would suck his dick in the middle of a whole press room or a whole like agency, and then he got banned or he got canceled because he said that before he was exposed as doing all the sexual assaults. He went after Steve Harvey. Went after Steve Harvey too and said that nobody wanted to cast a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good and looks like Mr. Potato Head. And he said he stopped doing stand-up because they did a stand-up competition at one point called Championship of Stand-Up. And Katt Williams said he just dominated him in Detroit in front of 10,000 people. And after he lost, he just gave up comedy. When he gave up comedy doing stand-up, that's when he lost all the shows. He went after Ludacris, saying they were both approached by Illuminati. He went after Joe Rogan, being like, he hates me. And then Joe Rogan said, hey, I'll bring on the show now after this. Went after Martin Lawrence, said he just wants to get him in a dress. And he tried to get him to Big Mama's house too, put him in a dress. I'll never wear a dress. He's like, my friends tried to put me in a dress. Went after Jonathan Majors' whole situation, said he wouldn't trust a white girl because the white girl can take a guy down in 2 weekends. He went after Ricky Gervais, saying Ricky Gervais is only a good actor when he's dressed as a woman and not a man. He went after Michael Blackson, being like this, he's imitating being, an African dude, but his imitation is horrible. Like there's actual Africans that are better than him. I mean, he's going after everyone. Faison Love being like he's nothing. I mean, he's going after everybody in this interview, and people are firing back at him left and right. He really just like attacking the comedy world, and he's just blasting them, being like, no one works hard enough to be a comedian. No one's a stand-up anymore. It's all part of the machine. And he just blasted everybody, being like, they just aren't doing it right. And it's not there anymore. And comedy is not the same place. And he did a 3-hour session about this. And it's been blowing up the internet. Everyone's been talking about it. We haven't talked about it. I think he's ballsy as shit. I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's fucking great. So I get it. The whole thing on next Friday, whatever, he was doing a lot of stand-up or a lot of improv during the scenes. And they used most of it. So he was saying that Mike Money was like, all his, he wrote the whole thing, but that happens on set. You improv a lot of times, and then that stuff gets used. Happens all the time, especially in comedies. But I think like what he's trying to say is like these people steal my jokes a lot of times, and he hasn't gotten credit for what he's actually contributed, and he's just mad about it. He's just voicing his opinion, and everyone loves it. I mean, 44 million views. It's fucking nuts. It blew up the internet, and stealing people's jokes is not cool. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. You're right, Ty. He's fucking brilliant. He's fucking hilarious motherfucker. And I think this was meant to be just like, guys, the business, from my perspective as a comedian, is corrupt just like everything else. And these people aren't what you think. And I'm just going to tell you how I feel based off all my experience. And people loved it. They ate it up. And I think it's, brave of him to say it, but also, of course, he's going to say, he's like, fucking me. He's fucking balls to the walls. Will tell you how he feels. Paul, you heard about this probably. What do you think about this whole situation? As a comedian, do you think this will affect him like down the line? You think it'll stop him from getting gigs, or do you think that people will, cheer him up even higher because he stood up and talked about how he felt about the business?
It feels a lot like he's just nuking his career and not really caring. I don't know why. And maybe he's just like, I'm through playing this game where I have to be nice about everything. But honestly, it's kind of coming off as being a little, and I'm not saying he's wrong about everything he's saying. He might be right. But it just comes off as a bit dickish. And it's like, look, you deal with people in your industry that you don't like, but you don't talk shit about them because you want to keep working. You want to keep working with people. And it seems like he just doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care if he works with these people. So, I mean, I go for it, I guess. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's going to help your career much in the long run.
Yeah, he's going for shock laughs. He could be going for shock laughs too. And also people have been saying that he has a new special coming out, so maybe it's helping to promote that too. People do that too. But I think it's brave. It's very brave and ballsy, and a lot of people don't do this kind of stuff. And I think it is like something that could affect his career. But then again, like he probably doesn't care anymore. He's just having a good time. He's just, maybe that he was feeling good that day. He just wanted to put out his feelings. I don't know. It's wild, the backlash that everyone's responding to it, but also people are loving it. Rachel, what do you think about this? Do you think that that's what it is? Like maybe it'll be like blowing his career up, or do you think this is something that will make him even more like wanted and sought after because he's been so, exposing how he feels about Hollywood, or I guess show business in general?
I think he's been around for decades, and at this point, it's not really going to hurt his career. We've seen comedians do much, much worse and still have a career. I mean, Louis C.K. is back touring. People don't seem to care that much about what Dave Chappelle has done. And to me personally, what they did, Louis C.K. was actually, illegal and immoral.
Yeah, a little bit of masturbation stuff happening there.
maybe don't do that. But if their careers can be okay, Katt Williams can say some things about certain members of the industry. I personally thought it was a great interview. I thought he had a lot of really interesting things to say. I think Shannon Sharpe is a terrible interviewer. He just fumbled at every fucking corner. That man cannot handle an interview, especially with somebody who has like a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
He just did not know what to do with himself. So I think maybe this isn't a good platform for Mr. Sharpe. I think he, maybe took a few too many footballs to the head. Can't really formulate the thoughts like he used to. But I think Katt did a great job, and it was a good interview. I liked
44 million views. Isn't that crazy?
That rape jokes are never funny. That was great because he's like, and he also brought up there are things that we used to say that were okay at that time, and you need to grow and you need to evolve as a comedian to stay current and to stay modern. And I think that was a really important take that a lot of these old school comedians can really learn from.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point too. Yeah, and he was very. I mean, it's very sincere about stuff like that too, and I don't think he really meant ill will. I just like he had a moment. He just like it was the right time, right place from just like vent how he felt about everything. I imagine most of these people are a little pissed off. They're all responding, so it's like kind of have to. I guess someone calls you out like Katt Williams, he's also been
Luda
like
made a half-assed rap about it.
Yeah. It's Luda made a half-ass rap because they've been involved with Illuminati. They're talking about like shaving their head and getting like $200 million bucks or something.
Sad.
There's a lot.
But I mean, so much more from Luda. Like, what are you doing?
Luda, come on, man.
I know, Lexi, you've been itching to talk about this. I'm making you wait a little bit. How do you feel about this Katt Williams interview? You think it's going to be? What do you think is going to blow his career up higher? Again, we've talked about how he's been around for a long time. Maybe it won't affect it at all. But how do you feel like down the line, is any kind of ramifications will have from this?
Katt Williams has always been a controversial comedian. Like right from the start, he's never been like a top. He could have been top. Like he's always had the potential to be like a headliner, and he's chosen repeatedly to not be. He wants to be where he is. He has control of his life, his career, like he said in his interview and stuff. They were like, "Oh, you're already drunk already," when he started interviewing. He's like, "No, I'm completely sober." And it was like, yeah, he is fucking completely sober. Katt Williams has done shit like this for years. He's done this in his comedy specials. He's done this like whatever. It's not anything super new from him, but it felt like a individual who is looking at the state of society and was like, I'm done pretending, and I'm done pretending that things are okay, and I'm done pretending that like with the way we've been behaving is better. He's like, so I'm gonna say something now finally. And he's like, I don't give a shit. He's like, it's not gonna hurt me, it's not gonna affect me, because it's not. And like, what's the last movie you remember him being in? What's the last like thing? Like he said he's got Netflix specials, he's got whatever, yeah. He's got money, he's got what he wants, he's in the comfortable position of his life that he wants to be in. Right, he said that repeatedly in his interview. He's like, I'm fine, I'm where I want to be, I don't give a shit. He's like, what, you think me saying this stuff is going to hurt me? He's like, it's not going to hurt me, I don't care. He's like, you can't hurt me, you can't take me down, I don't care. And I'm like, beautiful. And the interview is great. He says, I thought it was going to be more bombastic, which I've used that word twice now, but
that's good.
I thought it was going to be like more, inflammatory, because, people have just taken the excerpts out for the internet and stuff like that. But like, he says some really deep, intelligent, poignant stuff throughout it. And he uses these people as examples of like times when things were wrong and things were bad. And maybe there's a few that are a bit weird, like the ludicrous one. I'm like, I don't know about that one. Like that one's a little strange, but
yeah, the Illuminati stuff.
Just to say that like that was like whatever. And 50-50 on the Weinstein one. Like, I don't know, but I'm not gonna fight with him, I'm not gonna debate with him, not argue with him, because overall he seems to have some really intelligent, smart things to say. He wants the world to be a better place, and he wants the industry to be a better place, is what it seems like. And it seems like he's saying these things because he wants things to improve, like on a larger scale. So it's one of those kind of things where I'm just like, I don't know. I thought it was beautiful. I was really super here for it. And yeah, I think more people thought we would be angry about it. And it was like, we're like, this guy's great. This is like so fucking smart. Right. Like when he like stopped the interviewer and was like, what did you say about women? And he's like, no. He's like, that's not how this works. And there was someone in the chat, they did say that he said... Oh, I was just going to say, someone in the chat said Shannon Sharp said, but he did actually talk about Wanda Sykes real quick. So he did have a personal issue with Wanda Sykes. There was one female comedian, but he didn't talk about her as a woman. He talked about the fact that he had he didn't go in on her the same way as like the men who stole his jokes and stuff, I think was what Glam was saying. He had an individualized issue with her. Yeah. He just talked about the interview she had with him, where she kind of sprung some questions on her that she sprung questions on him that he didn't agree to, and that he wasn't comfortable with, and she wasn't really she wasn't really respectful in that interview, and that's really kind of what he touched on there.
It's just wild to me, though, he actually went this far. I think it is great that he's able to voice opinion, not have to worry about ramifications. But it's just I'm like listening, and then I was reading the transcript afterwards. I'm like, oh my, I have to hear that again. What did he say? Yeah, and then the whole thing with about Ricky Gervais being like he's an only good actor when he plays a female, not a male. And then Ricky Gervais went after him too about like, oh, my kids or something. But Ricky Gervais has enough problems too in his life that he disappeared for a while as well. And I think he's just shining light on the community, being like, guys, get your shit together. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm always gonna be great. I'm always do my thing, and none of you are gonna stop or censor me, shut me up. But you're right. He's also learning like like how to navigate through this new world. This is a world that's changed a lot in comedy, and it's changed for the worse, I think, sometimes, because comedians should have fair game to say what they're going to say and have fun and give us a laugh. You don't like it? It's subjective. It's what it is. It's fun though. Comedy's great, and I think he did a great job in this interview, and it's definitely entertaining. I tell you that. 44 million people loved it. I know it blew my mind. But Katt Williams he's not stopping. It's insane.
It's definitely out there. It's definitely something people are talking about.
It's like what we talked about the
Like,
whole
this is the
George
most
Carlin
Shannon
thing on
Sharp's
Friday.
been talked about in fucking years.
I think it's the most I've talked about Katt Williams in years.
Yeah, me too.
I can't remember the
Right.
last time I've really talked about him. Honestly, like it's really brought his relevance up for sure. So I mean, and I don't know if he did it because of that. Like, I don't think that was the reason he did it. I think he's been sitting there listening to these interviews on that show, and he's just kind of sitting there but stewing and going, "Oh no, I'm going to go on this show and say some
I'm going to
shit."
tell him everything.
Because I've had some fucking like.
Yeah.
Lexi and Rachel, you both convinced me. I think you're 100% right. Maybe I just looked at a different perspective on this, but man, if that's the stuff he's saying and he wants to change the way things are, hell yeah. That's pretty cool.
He called Shannon Sharp out hard because Shannon Sharp said, you have to handle women with kid gloves. You can't really kind of go after them the same way you go after men. And he said, do you want to delete that? You want to cut that? Are you sure you want to say that? Because you're about to, really stand against equality here. And he talked about, equality in the workplace and stuff for a good few minutes there too.
That's awesome. I got to watch
that
this.
was nice. You don't really see comedians stand up for women too often. So
no,
I think
amazing.
When you take the clips, when all you watch is like the 15 minutes of people taking the clips of him kind of having these blow up moments, then it makes him look more psychotic, and it makes him look like he's like just going crazy. When you watch the whole interview, he's very lucid. He's very like
awesome time
there. And when he has those moments, they're very funny, and they actually feel like a comedian giving a routine more than anything. So even though they are a direct attack, and he does come from a place, and he does reach a point in that interview where he does kind of seem like he gets sick of the host. He's like kind of tired of the host's shit in a lot of ways, but he's there for a purpose. It does feel like he's there for a purpose, but like,
well, they weren't on the same level. I'd be frustrated having to be interviewed by him too. Like, Katt Williams was way on a higher intellectual level than.
He's like, what are we doing here right now? Like, why are we even having this conversation with you?
Yeah.
But it was enough that I think that actually helped, because then he was able to say more. He was able to put more out there, and then maybe that's why it became almost like him just speaking his mind, and no one like really trying to talk to him. He's just venting how he feels. And you vent something like this, you cause wavelengths in the entertainment industry and the comedy, and you could tell people are like shaken by it and they're responding to it. And I think maybe at the end of the day, it might help fix some things. It could. Someone like him steps forward and says something, it might. And I hopefully it does.
There's one comedian he would not stop ripping on right from the start, though. What was that guy's name, though? I couldn't remember. The guy from Friday. I said, write his name down. Smiley. Yeah. That guy, he would not from the start right to the end.
He did not like that guy.
He would not stop ripping that guy apart. He was like, and he was like, I will only work with him if he's in a dress from here on out, because it's the only time he can give a decent performance. And I put that in my contract. Just like, damn.
God, that's pretty.
That guy to pieces. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he was bombastic, and it was entertaining. Anyway, I know Katt Williams we'll be talking about him for a while. This, as people come forward even more, we'll talk about it more. But honestly, it's quite an interview. 44 million people have listened to it, if not more, and counting. Check it out. It's definitely eye-opening, and I think that he gets a lot of points across that could, that haven't been said out loud. And sometimes it's good to say it out loud. People don't do it. People hold stuff back. Just say it sometimes. And I think he's a person that can get away with it, and he'll be fine. And at the end of the day, good for him. He was comfortable enough to say it. He made it happen. So Katt Williams, everybody, check out the interview. Speaking his mind and just destroying people.
Yo, player, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we are live. And if you are able to join our Patreon, please join. Because the Pep Star needs more snickety snacks. Because I'm hungry. Holla back. Love y'all.